And welcome, folks. We have a live stream. We're going to be with you for at least the next few minutes. What does independence mean for you? It's kind of going off into a number of different rants earlier. So as you come onto the stream, feel free to thumb up. Feel free to share. But what would you like to talk about? Now, other than the flat earth, and other than Civil War in America, feel free to join and throw out something interesting into the conversation. We got to try to keep things real relaxed here. You know, I tend to get pretty animated and all over the place. I have a fan here to keep me cool. I have the generator running outside. I have some instant coffee right here. Independence. We're going beyond MGTOW. Have I ever talked to you about seasonal affective disorder? It's when you're a man living in today's day and age and you're not running around, right, like other people, having perceivably a lot of fun. There's something about those of us that are living the quiet life. I think within that lifestyle of stepping back from the parties and the glamorous lifestyles, that's where the fountain of life, the fountain of youth can be found. And one of the things that I think that I've learned in this lifetime, right, is that there are certain secrets to the fountain of youth. I'm not so sure that I've discovered them, right? But I do know that we live in a society where there's a lot of excess, especially around the holidays, especially with regards to alcohol. And a lot of people can feel like they have been left out from the masses. Especially in Portland, Oregon. I don't really want to think too much about Portland, Oregon and all the masses of people that are watching the fireworks display there. Just can't help but kind of bring up some things. There was a video that was quite popular on my channel for a while. It was people fighting over the flag in Portland, Oregon. One group is desecrating it. The other is fist fighting with the other group. So independence for them is clearly expressed in a particular way. For myself, it's freedom from living in the grid, freedom from working at the same job indefinitely, commuting, for example, mass transit. You know, for me, independence, you know, it's been doing my own thing on my own platform. It is not easy, right, to speak your mind when you're working for someone else, when someone else is your boss. Sure, there's censorship on YouTube. There's a lot of complications, but there's also a lot of freedom that we get to experience. We have the opportunity to express ourselves. It may not be profitable per se, but we get to express ourselves. We get to express our soul. Yeah, we get to express those very things that are unique about us. That's what independence means to me. So temperatures here, I don't have a temperature gauge. It's a little cooler here in the shed with the fan on. Special thanks to those earlier in the day when we did those live streams. There was some super chats. So thank you to your contributions. All those videos were demonetized. YouTube's such a crazy matrix. I'm taking it all quite well. There about 3 to 4 months since I've been smoking nicotine, since I got my root canal on the left side. There has been like a lot less cravings for nicotine, so that's helped. So for me, independence from those particular unhealthy, behaviors, that's important to me. And so each year, it's like, how can I be that much more freer from the previous Alex Ansary, the previous year. We can ask ourselves, are we becoming healthier or are we becoming sicker? And we'll find that dependence and freedom relate to that. By the way, just an observation, I'm not an expert on European politics, but it seems that some of these countries are on a model of success where they're generating wealth on one level for a certain number of years, but they can also fall into a state of decadence with their socialized programs when certain things fall out of balance. So I think the ideal way, and I'm not a social engineer, right? But there should be cycles on, cycles off. Sometimes there's periods in which societies are producing more, and periods in which societies are producing less. And right now we're in a period in which we need to be producing more on an independent media level. And we have the independence to do that, although we've always been under the gun of censorship and political persecution and journalists being targeted. It's pretty much the day and age that we're in. But a lot of people aren't expressing their full independence, their full free thoughts. And so as a result, a lot of people are suffering. A lot of people tonight may be suffering somewhere, thinking that enjoying the holiday comes with drinking 12 beers, getting a DUI. Maybe it's about consuming a lot of meat and going, yeah, look at what all these wars have got us. Right? As if the wars are necessary for somebody to feed themselves and their family. The 4th of July, for some people, represents independence. For others, right, it represents the false idea of independence and how asleep people are. Independence on an individual, personal level is so far different. To be truly independent or to be on that path spiritually, economically, economic independence, spiritual independence, political independence. What does it mean to be independent? You know, when we see these mainstream YouTube channels that are asking that question, for a lot of people, it just means, you know, maybe looking pretty in your American red, white, and flag swag is a slang that's coming to mind. Flag swag. It's like, there she is, Miss America. Yeah, that's going to stop the wildfire. Oh, don't want to mess with America. That's right. You better turn around, wildfire. There's a hot American chick there, and she's all dressed up in a bikini with that red, white, and blue. That's fine. Some people think that, you know, the red, white, and blue sigil is going to protect against the wildfires. Bow down, bow down. But no. Probably about 75 degrees in here. We have wildfires again in multiple places. Instead of constantly giving you updates on the fires, I'm going to kind of give that a break. But it's about at 85,000 acres. If there's anything that happens to come in on the chat, I'll try to be attentive to that. If there's a specific question, I can also go off on rants that just go on and on. Take a sip of coffee. And I have a lot of books here, and I've thought about reading certain things to you. Let me go ahead and reference at least something that I was thinking about earlier. John Ronson wrote the book Them. And it's an interesting, see, he doesn't believe in the idea of a global conspiracy anyway, that these things are taking place, that there is a worldwide system of control over humanity. But when he went to visit Alex Jones in the early 90s, as well as David Icke in also the late 90s, when David Icke went on tour in Vancouver, BC, and saw the oppression, saw the attempts to suppress David Icke's speech as far back as the late 1990s. You know, there's just a lot of interesting stories that are in this particular book, Them, by Jon Ronson. Of course, the light changes every time I move here in pretty dramatic ways. It's an entertaining book. On the front, it says, "Is there really, as the extremists claim, a secret room from which a tiny elite secretly rule the world? And if so, can it be found?" This book is a journey into the heart of darkness involving PR savvy, KKK, the story of Ruby Ridge, a harem of kidnapped sex slaves. Oh, I'm going to flag YouTube now. And a number of other things here. While Jon Ronson's attempts to locate the secret room, he is chased by men in dark glasses, unmasked as a Jew in the middle of a jihad training camp, and witnesses CEOs and leading politicians like Dick Cheney undertake a bizarre owl ritual in the forests of Northern California. Who knows whether or not, I'll just get it out, Alex Jones ever really went to, or how that whole thing unfolded with Bohemian Grove, the Alex Jones official story, as opposed to the real version. But according to Jon Ronson, in this book, they really did infiltrate Bohemian Grove. I am not a Alex Jones fan or promoting, right, the Bohemian Grove tapes, but pretty much highlighting this book, which also gets into the point of bringing this up is how long they've been creating these boogeyman threats of domestic terror threats within the United States for decades now. And a lot of paranoia out there about subversive groups and people that are into conspiracy theories, you know, and beliefs that conspiracy theories or people that believe in the New World Order are really extremists. And that stereotype that Jon Ronson pushes out without giving a real understanding to the global conspiracy, without giving into stereotypes. It's a funny book. He's a good author. He's popular, right? Hell, he wrote books recently about just the epidemic of trolling. But there's so many people like Jon Ronson that think that everything is just a myth. That people that believe in those conspiracy theories are extremists. And it's unfortunate that there aren't enough people, I guess, that are out there in the public eye that are more on the independent side of things, because there are a lot of extreme ideologies. I've expressed, I want to keep this on theme, what does independence mean to you? I've expressed in my videos that when I lived in Portland, there would be people out there that would say, "Alex, why aren't you for these violent overthrows? Are you with the cops, Alex?" I had to deal with a whole decade of being that cable access guy, and people just assume things. Well, if you're on TV and they're not taking you out, it's cable access, dude. Jesus. I mean, a little bit of healthy paranoia is okay, but just to assume that I'm the enemy with the conspiracy folks. And now here we are 10 years later. You know, I'm living off a few hundred a month. I appreciate those of you that enjoy what it is that I do, but I'm a far cry from someone that's being secretly funded with large amounts in studios and multiple things. I'm one guy sharing his ideas, and I've made it this far. And I guess the point is, look for some happy thoughts, happy other things to talk about tonight. But the point is that we are still alive, and it's something to be grateful for. I'm still alive. Life may not always be easy. Down a much darker road a few years ago. I'm not saying that we averted a crisis. We could be like in a parallel reality where by this point in time, we could be in camps, for example, and George Bush would still be in control. Or there were different parallel reality plots, right, that we've been fed. And we know that didn't happen. And we know that we didn't end up necessarily in a reality where we're all forced to have vaccines. But we were, many of us, including myself, concerned about that in 2009, weren't we? I know that on social media, I've seen for years, people have seen and said that we were all going to die of cancer because of Fukushima. And even though the verdict is still out to a certain degree, and I would say that we maybe have seen some effects from Fukushima on health, is it as bad as that which has been predicted? Are people dropping dead left and right? And we can continue. Was the BP oil spill the end of the world? So there's balance to be struck here. There's balance to be struck here. We have challenges in our world, but we're a far cry from the end of the world and a far cry from this collective salvation scenario. Independence is an inside job. Now, normally when I bring up certain topics and I'm doing a pre-recording, I have a lot of focused thoughts with regards to that, right? Right now, being the 4th of July, just trying to relax a little bit, keep the chat open. It is not as hot as an oven here. It's getting hotter. Incrementally so. As we go, not tonight, but progressively into July. Somebody asked for some updated pictures on the garden. One of the things with the garden, if I'm ever able to afford a truck, $1,000 for a truck, something like that, I'd get a truck and I would haul a lot of water, and I'd be growing food and I would be storing those particular items. Right now, the current situation, driving a 1986 Toyota Camry up and down, like these dirt roads. I'm missing a spare, by the way. I'm conservative. Not so much like politically I'm independent, but I'm conservative with how much weight I put on that little car. So I'll be transporting just a few like little multiple 7-gallon containers. There's a place where the water is free in town. But see, most of the people that grow, for example, where they're growing marijuana, there's a lot of people that do that here, or whether it's growing vegetables, that level of food independence, you want to be trucking a lot of water back and forth, not just little containers. And it's especially hot this year, and some stuff just needs a lot of water. And I'm asking myself, is it really worth it? But it's good to experiment, right? Like I can remember a time where people were acting like there was no time to prepare. And people still do that. Like, are you prepared for martial law? Are you prepared for the world to end? Are you prepared to act like a doomsday prepper? It's like, it ain't like that. Yes, there's so much dependency on the grid. Yes, there's so much dependency on the system, right? But some of the directions that some of the people take it, at least on the doomsday prepper end of things, it fits into that stereotype. And a lot of people are ultimately very, very afraid. They stock up stuff, and a lot of people have massive gun arsenals. And I try to figure out, why is it that some of these people are so afraid of all these things, especially when they're not even putting themselves out there or challenging the system anyway? And I don't think that that's what it means to wake up either. That's not the path to independence. It is simply prep and just be in a state of constant fear. We got to start freeing ourselves up mentally from the conditioning of living on this prison planet. It has affected us in profound ways. And so it's time to continue the process of deprogramming. So I'm going to end now and we'll come back, right? We'll complete this thought. Hope you're enjoying your 4th of July. By the way, there is a community tab on YouTube. I don't know if it's going to be, it'd be cool to have a forum outside of YouTube for certain discussions. But YouTube itself seems to be making subtle improvements with regards to the live streaming, with regards to other particular things. And so even though the world seems screwed, I'm trying to watch my language, right? What positive elements of this world that we can enjoy, we should be exploring those things now while we're still alive to me, that's what it means to be grateful for our lives. So happy Independence